Welcome to the Willow Roundhouse here at Round the Woods. We're here for a few days just taking a bunch of photos. I'll put a few up on the screen so you can see the kind of thing that we've been doing. And it's nice to be out of the YouTube studio, so I thought what I would do is I'd talk you through some of the gear I would bring to a shoot like this and some of the stuff I would use absolutely every time. And then I'll give you a bit of a tour of the space and we'll talk about some of the features and some of the things that I'm thinking as a photographer as I look around the space. This is the Samyang 14mm 2.8. It's a super wide lens and it's incredibly useful for showing a whole space in one kind of go. You know, there's no other way of showing how all the different objects in the room relate to each other. The next lens that I use is a 35 1.8 because it's small. I used to have a 1.4 which was much bigger. This is a really great way of kind of honing in on a part of the space and showing depth. This, you can grab a section of the room, maybe the chair or maybe the bed or something like that, and shoot over something or through something, and it will give you a real sense of the depth in that space. This one is new to me. This is the 24mm 1.8 Viltrox lens. This is new. They sent this to me and I'm just testing it out for a review. It's given me the same sort of feel as the 35, but a bit wider, so I can kind of get a bit more context of the space. It's kind of an in-between between these two for me at the moment. So the next lens I will use is this, is the Sony 50mm 1.8. I use this for isolating a subject, so for grabbing a detail. It could be a book on a shelf, it could be, you know, the kettle on the side, it could be shooting through something, so through a doorway or through a window to grab something. Anyway, now what I want to do is just walk you through the space, give you a bit of a tour and talk about what I'm thinking from a photography point of view and how I'm going to capture a space like this. So there's three things I want to quickly cover. The first is light. I'm always looking at the direction of the light, and this is a really interesting space because you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 windows. This is a nice big one over here. So we're going to get different light at different times of the day. And then the other interesting thing is up here, look, you can see we've got this massive window at the top, which is kind of throwing ambient light into this space, which kind of makes it feel like it's almost outdoors. The other thing I'm noticing is the way that the light is coming in through the windows. It's kind of giving us almost a vignette effect that's framing the window. For example, you look here and the light's really bright and it sort of tapers off to shadow here. And if we go into this bathroom here, you can see it's really the case with this window here. I love this one, the way that this porthole goes, because you've got loads of shadow here, loads of light here. And it's kind of giving us this kind of drop off of light, which is just leading us in to that. And you know, makes me really want to look at this thing here. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is composition. Before, when I was talking about the 14mm, I was saying how you got to be careful not to let it sort of destroy your vertical line. So for example, if I shoot like this, you can see the way that the chimney is not straight at all. Likewise, if I shoot up, it's not straight. So if I'm at sort of waist height shooting here, you can see the chimney's nice and straight and all those lines at the back are straight. But this room is actually really symmetrical. So if you see the bed's dead center with the 2 lamps, then you've got these 2 pillars here, and directly above that, you've got that hole in the window, and it kind of gives us a really nice symmetry. So when I'm composing the big shots, I'm keeping things central. Another symmetrical point in the room is the fireplace. And you can see, because it's a roundhouse, you've got these sections here. You've got like 1, 2, and then here. This is framed really nicely as well. Then obviously the doorway, but there's less kind of interesting stuff to shoot here. So I'm keeping things really sort of symmetrical. And then when I want to add depth to a shot, I'll shoot across. I'll shoot across like the bed. I'll shoot on a 35 or a 50 or something, shoot across the bed, or I'll shoot here from this doorway. I got some nice ones from in here where I can shoot through the doorway into the room across like that. And you can see, because we're in here and we're shooting across, it's given us a kind of sense that we're looking in on the space. So another trick for compositions is, you know, you can notice the windows are actually almost framing the outdoors. I'll show this on a different lens, I think, but you know, you can see I'm framing the eating tent and the pizza oven through that window. And then I can move and frame here. I can frame the outdoor picnic bench and stuff, and this is actually a really interesting trick to keep the internals out of focus and frame some action outside. So the next thing I want to talk about is detail, and this is where we start shooting the individual parts of the space that kind of tell a bit more of a story. You can see over here, this kettle. That's an interesting detail. It tells a story. It tells us that there's no electricity and that this is a gas stove, which, you know, goes in with the fact that this is all solar powered. All these lights are LED, and there is no grid power here. I mean, this kettle doesn't tell that story completely, but in terms of the tone, it does tell that story. Again, these books on the shelf here, these are an interesting detail. It's not something that is that relevant to the wider space. They let you know that this is a place of relaxation and a place that you can come to and read a book. Here's another great example. This book, you can put this all over the place. This is wood oven cooking. You know, you can put this anywhere. So for example, if I was to put this over on this side, you know, I could use that in that shot. I've also put little coffee cups on this and got a few shots of those. Again, it tells a bit of a story without telling a story. Another really good example are the wellies that are just outside, for example. It's just one photograph, but what that tells you is that this is a space, full of adventure, and that you can go on walks and you can go on adventures, and that you can come back to the space, you can take your wellies off, and you can come in and relax in a kind of nice, peaceful way. Well, that's just a few of the things that are going through my head when I'm shooting a space like this. I use the wide angle lens to show full context and show how things relate to each other in the space. I'll use the 35 to shoot through things and add depth and people, just to show what it would be like if you were actually in the space. Then the 50, I'll use that to grab the details that really tell the story of the space and the intention behind all of the things that people are putting in those spaces. When you shoot it in that way and you go wide through to the details, you really do get a full picture of what it's like to be in a space like this. So I really hope you found that useful. We've had a wonderful time here at the Willow Roundhouse. Check out my cabin Instagram or my Twitter and my regular Instagram as well, and you can see much more of those pictures. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you liked it. If you did, like the video. And if you're one of my subscribers, I'll see you in the next video.